So now, let's go straight into our second speaker today, who is Tzu Culture and Communication Foundation, and it's also the lead director for the Heartfelt News of the Dai TV. So now he's here to share with us about the news segment. This publication is from Sister Huang Xueling in Kaohsiung, and the words were written by volunteers in Taipei. So very grateful for their involvement. As we have heard that Brother Yijun is a very talented person. He has been to our study group multiple times, and every time he's providing an up-to-date news or activities that they're doing. So now we have our latest news. And what does his job entail? So let us see here. This is about the schools that Tzu Chi has been supporting for about 30 years in Thailand. And if the team does not travel to Thailand, we will not have these images or these footages. This marks the 30th anniversary as well as the 20th anniversary for the school. The students and the teachers are working really hard to provide this to prepare for this celebratory event. And Dai TV is there on site to document the growth of the school. Mainly is because this auditorium required the equipment for this transmission is a lot less than needed. So we brought with us very few and light equipments. And we also thought of ways so that we could translate or interpret on the spot from Thai to Mandarin. We want this to be our responsibility to showcase the work of Tzu Chi in the past 30 years in Thailand. Now, he is not just there to command, to provide directions. Rather, he is actually working with the people directly. And she was one of the graduates who is now a teacher in the school. Tying a white string on the wrist of the student is a tradition in Thailand, which marks their blessings and wish that the spirit Tzu Chi will be tied up with them forever. Even the CEO for the Humanistic Culture Mission is there. They show their gratitude through their heartfelt hugs as they embark on their journey. And as a surprise, the underclassmen had lit candles throughout the campus so that their graduate students would keep this memory with them. So what other responsibility does he have? As we heard earlier in the Sagasa typhoon, there are a lot of volunteers there to help with the cleanup efforts. And we can see that our director was there as well. And he said that it is much more difficult here because the composition of the mud and water is much heavier. So we have asked all of our staff to be extra careful. And most importantly, during our 35th celebration for the environmental protection efforts, he was there as well in Taichung, which marks the beginning of these events. Even the city's sanitation department was there and marks the establishment of the first government-sponsored recycling management committee. It is because that 35 years ago, Master had asked everyone to put their hands that claps and put that into protecting the environment. So Taichung marks the beginning point, and in 35 years, we're coming back to this point, and we are showing the gratitude who are also our sponsors for the ITV. We give them our sincere gratitude. So now let us welcome him to share with us with our usual clap and how thanking him for bringing that positive energy. We're very grateful for him for coming today, taking our time off his busy schedule. Now, we know that he won't just be sharing because the ITV also has a location here. So afterwards, he will be working with the staff at the ITV just across the street. So now let's welcome him one more time. Dear Master, dear Bowmasters, and to our Dharma family and everyone joining us, I hope you have a great day. My name is Yijun, and Master gave me a Dharma name as Yijun. So it means the words in Chinese means early riser, and which I have been since I've gotten that name. Now, and at first I would like to send my apologies because I missed her my promise for 3 years. Previously, we were going to meet with the principal for Tzu University, which unfortunately, because of other engagements, I wasn't able to make it. Now, this year, in the beginning of the years, Teacher Mei has been asking me for a topic, and I've been thinking that, isn't. So I established a very broad topic that is some heartfelt news, and that has been my thought for the year. But before then, let me show you with this graph. This graph you can only see in the back end. This is the Facebook engagement throughout the years. We can see there are 3 peaks here. The first peak was in March when there was an earthquake and the anniversary in northern Thailand. The second peak in July was a typhoon in Tainan, which leading to severe flooding and led many of the city volunteers to help to relieve the disaster. And we're still continuously rebuilding their homes. And then lastly was in Guangfu, which is the most recent typhoon causing mudslides in the area. As we know, conducting news in the media and gathering people's attention is a very difficult task. As we know that the topic of environmental protection is not in there, it's not often a topic of the conversation. And so it is especially precious to see that people are talking about what Tzu Chi is doing for this relief. And we noticed that a lot of the traffic came from other sources because no other news agencies were actively reporting it except for Tzu Chi. So even when there were no big events, we can still see a notable traffic in the in our Facebook. As we often say, no news is good news because except for Tzu Chi, because all news is good news, or all love news. But because of the ecosystem changing, people have been actively looking at different things on their phones. And to follow this trend, we have created many content that to be read upright. Even on YouTube, our small news segments have been converted for easier viewing on their portable devices. Now, the news comes from other people's action. Because they're doing, then we have things to report. So even though we wish there could be no disaster, uh, we still take part in promoting the good efforts of everyone involved. These are the three circles that I draw in my heart. The first one is the activities in Tzu, and then the awareness of the society, as well as the Buddhism ideologies. There's so many different types of news, political news, even traffic, accidents. There's so many news agencies reporting these incidents, but ignoring many of the ones that are worthy. Master has said to Dai TV that we have to be steadfast, stand strong to our beliefs. What people don't report, we have to tell them. We have to tell that kind of news. So a lot of the news that have been reported is comes from the missions of Tzu. And the third part is that we want every news to bring a little of the Buddhism teachings. Even the Northern Thailand news earlier, some of the brothers are telling me that this is very emotional, very touching stories because their respect for teachers, for knowledge, is much more involved than what we are familiar with. The students are on their knees as the strings are tied around their arms. The teachers may be telling them their stories and telling them how to improve their lives. That comes from countless hours of accompaniment and to build that rapport, build that relationship. So when we were there, we tried to fulfill as many roles as we can and do whatever we can to document the stories. And one of the stories that we focused on was the environmental protection efforts because they are the actual sponsors for Diet TV since Diet TV operates on the proceeds of these recycling products. So in addition to the Buddhism teachings, we also have to create news that will get the attention of the people. We know we want to focus on people turning their initial aspirations into action. So I find that being in media it is a very difficult field. It is very easy to move people, but then what? The longevity in their mind will not be more than 10 minutes. So that is the difficult point. So all the news that I prepared, or news clips I prepared this time, I did not prepare anything of the cleanup efforts, even though it's been the hottest news of the year. So we see these two news clips. One is to welcoming the 60th anniversary of Tzu, and the other one was Tima providing free teeth cleanings. And when I saw these two news, I was very emotional, and I find it hard to believe that people don't know about these things. But in reality, when you're conducting a medical outreach, you know that there's a whole team standing behind because a lot of these patients are unconscious or um, they're not able to control themselves. So we must have support teams. We must have emergency responses just in case something happened. And even the 60-year anniversary. And let's watch this clip. I can cut that line and then we burn it. And that's how we finish one. And at first, there were people teaching from Kaohsiung or the northern region. They only got a 2-day course. So a lot of people didn't have the opportunity to really fully master the skills. And I take my time to learn it so I can teach other people. These are old Taiwanese dollars, about half a Taiwan dollar, which marks the beginning of the bamboo bank era of Tzu. When we provide it, when we cut it, and we wrap it up, we delegate them so they can wrap around. Now, since all these money are no longer in circulation, and they're always dirty, so we must clean it and polish it, and that it has been a tedious task. Now, half a dollar in Tzu holds a very significant value. It's because that is what Master asked her disciples to save in the beginning. Many people, when they got their red envelope from Master, they were very joyful, they were very happy. But have you thought about the the decoration, the decor of this envelope, and the number of people or number of hands that it involved in creating this? Last week, I know there are 30, uh, 330,000 people who are involved in making these envelopes because there were so many steps needed. And the half a dollar is not because it's precious, not because it's monetary value, but rather it signifies the passing on of the lineage of Tzu. So we have provided a series of the environmental protection efforts. And we have our brothers and sisters who went to see the school that Master did the seminar back then, but it was refused by the school. No, it was because it was a voting day, so we were unable to do it that day. But we still were managed to do that, to film it a week in advance. This is the 25th anniversary of a new school building and also marks the 107th anniversary of the school. In September 21st, 1999, a huge earthquake struck Taiwan and destroyed a majority of the buildings. When these temporary schools, the sound insulation is terrible and there's also very risky because when they open their bags, there could be a snake or some animals that come out. So it's been an impact to them. It's a very hot day, and all the children are studying under the tents, we see that there are a lot of flies, and my heart goes out to them. If we can start a day earlier, let them have have a comfortable environment one day sooner so they continue the education.
我们的 YT 上面，大爱新闻的 YT 频道上面，其实都有把
So on our
影片
YouTube,
可以做一
Thai
个分
TV
享。
has been
今年1999年，
compiling the entire
26
stories.
年，也不是逢我们
It's been 26 years
所印象
since the
其实很多人
earthquake.
联系
It's
的，
not
对
the
对
fifth or
对，
tenth
印象很深刻的。
anniversary.
我女儿几
And
乎讲
for
不
many
出
of
来，
the
所以
young
跟她讲
people,
一下
they
就
have
好。
no recollection of
那
the earthquake
这
at
次我们也
all.
找了很多的
They
学
wouldn't
者，
understand it.
个案是当时的小
But
朋友，
this
现在已经
time,
长大了，然后很多有
we
文化
have
的传承。
brought many of the
那我想
cases who
这
were
个找
kids
得到
back
的
then.
就先
They're now all grown
这样
up.
子，那我们就看下一页，我们来看
And for
1999年，
those
明年
who
是
can
世界儿童
find,
周年。那我们其实
we
新闻部
we
呢
bring
有
the
另外
stories.
2个系列的专题报道。
Next year is the 60th
那
anniversary of
大概
Tsuji,
这
so
2
we
天在
have
这里大致做
created
了多少
or
事情。第一
curated
个是系列报
two
道，是最改
series.
变的人物系列报道。我印象很深刻，上个
And
星期
first series
我听
was
了
about
在场
change,
的
change in
跟
the
很多
people.
人说，慈济做了60年来，很多人被我们访
I
问，
have heard
其实可以请他们做
Master
分享，
mentioning many times,
一定有很多人愿意见证，因为那么多人帮
and
助我们，
Master
不
had
见得每个
asked
人愿意跟见
people
证。就像
who
刚刚
have received
我们
help
说
from
的这个
Tsuji,
月光啊，
they
也是
would
有。
we would like to
那
invite
很
them
多
to
人有
buy,
这样的一
provide
个想法，
to
就是说
share and
愿
provide their
意把他留下
testimonials.
回来帮助人，他不一定现在是慈
So
济
we
人，
wanted to
可能
find
他现
these
在是帮社
cases
会的，是一个好人。
back then
那我们就
who are
透
now
过这个
able to help
这
other
个这
people.
次的
They
系
might
列
not be
报道，
Tsuji
我们看
volunteers,
这
but
3
they
个这
are
3个
still
主要主轴。
a positive
第一个
influence in their
当然是第一个
society.
就是师兄姐，因为没有
So
我
it's
没有
not
这些师兄姐，
all
不会有太多
about
的改变。
Tsuji,
那陆续正在制作，这个
but
已经
on
开
their
始
on their growth path, we can
大概
see
会写
the presence of Tsuji volunteers. Because without these
我们
volunteers, there
大概
wouldn't
要
be these notable
5个频
changes.
道，但是实在是人手
I have
这
staff
个
that
不是那么
ask
容易，但是我们会努力。
if we wanted to
那
bring in stories from
所以呢，
overseas
我们
from
这个系列
international
会有个
cases.
改变，
I would
3个
sincerely
主
love to
轴，
do
每一
that, but we
个
just don't
会
have
是一
the
下师
personnel
兄
to
相
be able to
关的，
carry that.
然后怎么样让它变
So
成
we
正向
started
的，因为
out
我们期
with
待是师兄
changes,
姐的。
the people that
那这也是
are
一个。
beneficial
那
to them, that
我们
help them along the
我
way,
举个例子，
as
现在
well
每个人第
as
一位就是包卓
the
伦医师，
seeds that
第
were
二个是
sowed.
这个
And
麦
we
乔
started the
医
first
师，
one with
台
Dr.
工
Bao
医院的
Zhuolun,
主任，
who
然
is
后第二位这个是刘
Far
邱
Eastern
敬言老师， 老
Hospital
师他是在
a
新竹，
superintendent.
这2位都是当时领新雅奖学金的。那看一下小小的片段啊，每次因为
And
这边亏欠吕老师太多，都要带那个
both of them
学生，
were
所以他这边都是片段给
scholarship
看。
recipients
那我们
or
来看一
Tsuji
下，
scholarship
这个也可以完整
recipients.
播了，就不会有绝对不会有版权问题，因为
So
我们
let
都
us
是
watch a
师兄姐。
little short clip.
等一下，上一页是不是？哦，好，你来，我补按。好，这个，对，下一页这个播放一下。
上人走到我的面前，慢慢的跟我讲：“你是个好医生。”
Master walked in front of me and told me that you're a doctor. You have to do your work. What she said has always stayed within my heart. I have thought about, going on the wrong way, but I did not. That is the power of Master's words. That word has held held on fast for me so that I continue to be a doctor for 25 years. When Tsuji's scholarship established in 1982, they started extending it from medicine to Buddhism studies to art. The first time when I received the scholarship from Master's hand, I was on call that day, and so then the nurses were call me there to invite Master. And the master walked in front of me and saw me and
那
said
要当
that
一个
you
医生
are
呢，
a
其
good
实
doctor.
本来就不是一件简单的事情。那要当一个好医生，那更是一件困难的
As
事
I
情。
share that being a doctor is not an easy task, and especially to be a good doctor is especially challenging.
你回来哦，你回来。
4 years ago, he dreamed of me, and I said that, and I asked, and he dreamed of me calling him. And the next day, he came back to abode to share that what he has accomplished. So he wanted to pay back to the aid.
那我觉得很不错。
There were a doctor
有
that
句话说，
wanted to be a resident
你想当好医师吗？
or want to be attending, and I think it was a good doctor.
那你跟着我，我教你。
And he said he wanted to be a good doctor. And I asked him to follow me so I can teach you.
我教你怎么当个好医师。
那个不是完整版啊，中间还有很多他当人医会啊，那
So
为什么他想要
there are multiple different stories, but we cut it out.
那所以还是要锁定大爱新闻，虽然是抢先，但是
So
不是完整版。
stay tuned with the Dai TV for the more complete version of his stories. But regardless, we are taking this opportunity to teach people that the changes these scholarships were able to instill in these people.
这样子，但是就是陆续我们这样子
Back then, when the scholarship were established, Tsuji Foundation was still in a very rocky, still had a very rocky finances, but they held on and went into the underserved communities to help many of the families, and some of them are now third generations of recipients. So we can see that in the past 60 years, Tsuji has done a lot quite silently.
其实就是历史今天啊，讲六
So another thing we will prepare for next year is
我可以跟上人讲，因为
history
还有历史
today,
对不对？那
and that will focus
我们
on
是大前年的
what happened 60 years ago.
第二年9月1号，然后那是要停，上人就说不要停啊，让大家可以去
When we
看
started,
一下历史，
we
然后可以
we started on the September 1st, about 2 years ago, and we wanted to pause it last year. But Masters said that, that we shouldn't stop it, that we wanted people to remember what happened every day.
然后所以从去年
And I said initially that we wanted to take a break so that we can
历史上呢，这是第5次
bring this back up again during our 60th anniversary.
我不想做以前那种历史节目。
In reality, this is the 5th time that Dai TV
然后
has
线上
have done this series.
其实大家听完就是一个 image 过去了嘛。我
So I didn't want to follow the same thing.
就
And
回到我刚刚前面讲的，新闻如果不能
it doesn't have the same impact of just telling people what just happened. Because if we're unable to initiate the thought and to have them have the thought stay within them, then the news is not worthy.
是那个时间里面的其中的一个点，但是我要把它
So even if we just
这个讲起来
even if we just prepare it as a history, we wanted to showcase that as an initial starting point of how
就一个历史今天
that one day lead to something that happened today.
村这件事的话，我就要从台风开始说起。
For example, using the Guangfu incident of the mudslides, we have to start from when the typhoon was called. Even now, when the reconstruction effort is still ongoing,
1年365天
that we are still unable to we can't wrap up this series.
挑出来才能。
So we started picking out
这是我们的片头。
the 365 days of the year,
其实实际是不止这个哦，这只是告诉你1月18号1984年。
and we know that
1990
in Tsuji there are so many things happening every day. We can only pick out some of the more memorable,
1990年是首次的福惠红包。
and the ones that
福惠红包的来
are in bold is to show it's our focus stories, such as in 1990 is when the first red envelopes of Tsuji
因为我做过
were handed out.
拿去给受赠的新发言
For a lot of people who
好几年了。
just recently joined Tsuji, they don't know about these
到时候
things.
这样子的东西
They don't know when the red envelope started. So now these stories will become a news clip online, and you can bring them all together and understand how the thoughts are how the thoughts are connected throughout all these years. So the history today has been a very it requires the devotion of all of our staff. So I want to share with you on January 22nd, 1995, and this one was the unedited version. This is the true premiere of this, and let us watch this clip.
1995年1月22日，慈济援助南投县仁爱乡与埔里镇道格风灾灾民住屋重建工程，13户住房落成。
Tzu assisted the reconstruction efforts of people affected by the Typhoon Douglas.
1994年8月，道格以中台威力侵袭。
In 1984, Douglas invaded Taiwan, and the central region, especially the mountains, has suffered severe flooding with the moisture brought in by the typhoon.
南投仁爱乡因风灾，桥段路毁，电力中断。
In Nantou Renai, they lost power, with the roads were broken. Their village was running out of food. So Tzu and the local volunteer organizations carried more than 6,000 kilograms of rice and brought it into the tribes in the villages. Concerned about their recovery, Master has went to Nantou, and they have witnessed the mudslides and the fragility of the mountains. And when they walk into the homes, they can clearly see the damage. So if someone helped to rebuild a home, would you move to it? He responded saying that as long as there's no leak, he's fine staying there. So they wanted to move their village and bring them to a safer location. After surveying their needs, as long as they're able to get the land, Tzu will full-heartedly support them, relocate, and helping the residents to relocate without worrying about mortgage. During that time, Tzu was under the criticism of many for their assistance in Ethiopia. As Master has shared with us, that in Taiwan, Tzu has been in every dark corners of the society. So when people say that how come Tzu never saved people in Taiwan, that is not true. We have done all that we can. We must bless ourselves that we don't need foreign aid. we don't need people to help us, that we can help ourselves.
全台湾动员，
And we have asked to mobilize everyone to help
全台募款。8月16
the
到30
flood
于13县市
victims.
设立350个定点，投入85000人次，专款专用。
And during that time, they were mobilizing in 13 counties with more than 80,000 volunteers to muster the donation.
它的翠峦的部落好像整个被掀翻掉。
产业道路嘛，这个地形产业道路是有名的不好保养的道路了。
那种崩塌是不特定的、不特时的时间。
至于南投县立行村翠峦部，
And as they're reporting about what they witnessed, how unstable the roads are and how difficult it was to get into the village.
帮他们建造像平地以水泥，
And they were unable to move them to a permanent housing. So they rebuilt them using a sheet metal. At first, we thought it was an easy place to get to, but once we get there, we realized the difficulty of the constructions. So through a lot of turmoil, we're finally able to help them. This was the first Tzu Chi village. There were 31 houses helping 35 families, letting those who without a home have a place to live.
因此计划迁村，规划2026年取得土地，携手慈济协助居民迁建。
And because of the danger of mudslides following the earthquake, they have relocated the village in 2006.
对，像这个其实台湾媒体已经不太报道，不过从这边也可以想象得到为什么后来。
So as we know, nobody has been reporting this news, and people has already forgotten about it.
那这样的东西，我们会把实际的历史事件
And which led to future decisions to relocate people out of places that are chronically battered by natural disasters. Now, because of the times, I will skip over these parts, but we have also created individual articles. And this is just to show you what our website would look like. We're still in the process of making final adjustments, but you can share with your members and use this as an aid to explain to your donors, your members, what Tzu Chi is involved in.
所以你要分享影片也可以，你要分享文字也可以。好，我们回到 PPT。
So on the bottom, we have links if you want to share the words or the videos. These are all available. We also have created an English version of all the news so that we wanted more people to understand, to know what's happening at the eve of the 60th anniversary, that they would understand Tzu Chi and even able to join us. Lastly, just as a promotion, starting on the 19th, we will invite everyone to see the exhibition in Guangzhou. Once again, I'd like to show my gratitude for everyone of what you have done, what you have contributed, and providing material for us to report. We are very grateful for the families of all the contributors for our online study group. And even teacher Jing Yuan started her first presentation in Kaohsiung. So Kaohsiung has been a very blessed place that we have the first to hear many of the Tzu Chi stories or Tzu Chi volunteers present. and share their what they have seen or what they have done.
我昨天还在想说，要不要把那个阿公做慈济那个也找出来，可是我发现，哦，光你打陈金海不得了啊，因为他35年，哎，这不是35年，你在慈济几年
？So
36年了，就是
for brother Chen Jinghai, he has been in Tzu Chi for 36 years, and he have worked very hard. So there's countless news or stories, and you can see that how he looked like 35 years ago, and now they're completely different. And even though he's still acting very young, he is a role model for us to learn from. And we know that when you're volunteering Tzu Chi, you'll never feel old. And he's also know how to do animations. And when they were working together in the Dai radio, I was always amazed of how knowledgeable he is. So no wonder he is a director. And now just some of the feedback from Santong, praising what Dai TV was trying to bring love and compassion, stories of loving and compassion to everyone. And we're grateful for them to helping out. And even from Malaysia, and she has shared a lot of the stories and gratitude. Here we can see people using their way to become friends of Dai in their own ways. And as we know that in Tzu Chi, the 4 missions, the 8 Dharma footprints encompasses many things that the society needs. So today, because of the opportunity, you may not be able to watch it live, but we still wish that you can join. And even if you're watching it on replay, we still like that you to leave your comment. So let us love Jingsi together, and we have some special promotions, and we have provided